Welcome everybody to the Single and Stilettos Show. I'm Suzanne Oshima and I'm a matchmaker and dating coach at Dream Bachelor and Bachelorette, and I'm also the founder of Single and Stilettos. Today we have on our show Michelle Marchant Johnson, and she's a relationship coach at Love Life Coaching. And I'm so excited to have her here today because today she's going to tell you the top 3 ways you're sabotaging your chance at finding love. And I've heard this all too often, but before we jump into this hot topic, Michelle, I would love for you to tell our audience how you became a relationship coach, because I know it didn't start out this way.
No, thank you so much, Suzanne. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation. So I, like many of the people that work in this area of life, found my way to becoming a relationship coach through my own long and winding journey to love, full of drama, misadventures, and all kinds of interesting experiences. I used to joke around and say I was going to write a book called Dating for Decades, chronicling all of the experiences that I had out there in the world of dating. And while I was successful in all other areas of my life, I was stuck in this area of my life. And it wasn't until I put myself on a specific journey of transformation and sought support that I was able to make the breakthroughs and see the blind spots that helped me to meet and attract my now amazing husband and become an ecstatic first-time bride at age 43. We've been married now for about 10 years, and because that experience has been so transformational for me, I decided that I wanted to help other women and have been helping other single women who want to meet and attract the relationship of their dreams for the last several years.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Well, so you've been doing this for a while, so I know you've seen a lot. So tell me the first way you see where women sabotage their chances at finding love.
Yeah, that's a really big question, and I could talk about it for a long time, but we'll be concise, Suzanne.
Okay.
So the first thing that I believe can sabotage a woman is limiting beliefs, and that's the stuff that's going on up here in our heads. And I had this going on in some ways myself, and I often think of the quote, which I'm sure you're familiar with, by the poet Rumi, that says, "Our job is not so much to seek for love, but to seek to remove all of the obstacles that we've built against it." And these limiting thoughts that can come up can really sabotage us. And I typically break these thoughts down into 3 categories: fears, fantasies, and falsehoods. I call them the 3 F words. That really, will say it nicely, mess up your love life.
Right.
These 3 F words can really mess up your love life. So the fears are things like fear of being rejection, fear of being hurt, fear of there not being someone out there for you, fear of having your heart broken, etc. They're innumerable. The fantasy area is typically where a woman is caught up in potential, believing in the potential of a situation or a man rather than looking at the reality of what it is. I think myself and many other women have invested in relationships or time with a man based on that potential, not the reality. And we can spend years of our lives caught in that trap. And then the third F word, falsehoods, these are the things that we have show up also as mind chatter, the voices that say things like, you're too old, you're too fat, you're not enough this, you're not enough that. All of the good ones are taken, etc. So those limiting beliefs, I think, can really stall a woman in her progress to love.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you, Michelle, because I've seen it a lot with my clients too. And quite honestly, it happened to me in my 20s and 30s where those things would get in the way. And not until I faced those things was I able to turn things around. But I just want to point out, like, you're right. I've seen a lot of fears actually paralyze a lot of women where they actually don't move forward at all. And they actually block themselves from even getting out there. So those are some great points. So what's another way that someone will sabotage their chance at finding love?
Well, another one is not exploring patterns that are showing up in relationships. So, there's the quote that says the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results. But what often happens, particularly if you've been out there in the world of dating for a period of time, is we can start to see some patterns that might not be serving us well. And yet sometimes it can be hard to see the forest through the trees in our own lives, which is why myself and many other women have had to seek support. Because it's like we look in the mirror every day and we think we see ourselves clearly. It's kind of like we're not in that 360 mirror where we're seeing the side view or the rear view, as uncomfortable as that might feel. But having some support along those lines can help us to identify some of the patterns that may not be serving us well. You've heard women say this, Suzanne, I'm sure. I feel like I meet the same guy over and over again. Same patterns, same person, different face, right?
Exactly. I hear that all the time. And like you talked about, Michelle, everybody has repeating patterns. I had them in my 20s and 30s, and not until I figured out what my repeating patterns were was I able to turn around my love life.
Right, right. And we think we see these things sometimes, but I know for myself, it wasn't until I got support and had that that mirror, so to speak, all around me that I discovered some of the ways that I'd been sabotaging myself. And these patterns can keep us stuck for a really long time. And I think it feels scary sometimes to look at them, but I think it's important to remember that we look at them from a place not of condemnation of ourselves, but from a place of compassion. Because when it comes to love and relationships, we're simply trying to get one of our deepest needs met as human beings, right?
Yeah.
And so I say, let's just look at it from a point of the point of view of curiosity and observation. And the amazing thing is once you discover some of these patterns, that oftentimes is the beginning, if not it's the beginning of a breakthrough, if not a breakthrough itself, just by seeing what's there. Once we have awareness of it and we shine the light in those dark corners, it can open up a whole new possibility.
That is very, very true. I completely and wholeheartedly agree with you because it's actually the first thing that I do with my clients is going over their past relationship history to figure out what their patterns, blocks, and triggers are. So tell me what the third way a woman sabotages her relationships. Or finding love, I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah, I think the third way is not being your own advocate for creating opportunity in your life. And I think this will probably resonate with you, Suzanne, in the work that you do as a matchmaker. So many of us grew up with the idea that the right person would just magically come along in our lives without any effort or intention on our part.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't happen for me, and it doesn't happen for many people. And I think where we get stuck here is that women don't want to feel like they're desperate or that they're out there doing the pursuing or
Mm-hmm.
that they're out there being scary because they're wanting to find a relationship so bad. That's not what we're talking about. I think there's a huge distinction between being intentional about your love life and being in a place of desperation, right? That makes sense. So one of the things that I work with my clients on after we work through some of the inner challenges and blocks that we've been talking about is simply creating opportunity, more opportunity for them to be in a place where they can potentially meet men. And that typically with my clients includes both online and offline strategies because I believe that that combination opens up more new possibilities. You can be shining your light or being the most beautiful, amazing woman in the world, but if a man can never see you, if you're never in a place where he can find you, how are you going to connect with love? So that's what I think is another big mistake that prevents a woman from finding love.
Well, that is so true. Well, these have been some great tips. So, Michelle, tell our audience how they can find you.
Thank you, Suzanne, for that. So please just visit me at lovelifecoaching.com and you can enter your name and email address and get 7 principles to attract the man of your dreams. And then we'll be connected. You'll be on my email list, and I will also be providing you additional tools and resources on an ongoing basis. So thank you for that.
Perfect. Well, thanks everybody for joining us on the Single and Stilettos show. Our show is available both in video format and podcast format. If you like to view the videos, you can go to singleandstilettos.com. And if you'd like to get the podcast, you can download it from iTunes. If you'd like to get our free ebook on the 3 secrets guaranteed to attract any man based on scientific research, you can click right here on the video, or you can go to singleandstilettos.com.